Welcome to Geek Tech Live. Geek Tech Live is brought to you by emusic.com. If you want to get 35 free songs, all DRM free, works with any MP3 player, head on over to emusic.com/GTL and pick up your 35 free songs on me. Don't forget, 35 free songs, emusic.com/GTL. Welcome back, everybody. This is Chris for Geek Tech Live. This is episode 125, and with GenCon just around the corner now that Comic-Con has come and gone, I thought I'd talk a little bit about a kind of a cool thing I came across that had a press release that's going to be at GenCon, and it's called Squareshooters Dice, and, well, let me tell you a little bit about it. So are you going to GenCon this year? August 4th through the 7th, if I remember correctly, is GenCon. And I'm just going to refer to some of my notes here. At GenCon this year, I found a press release for a game that looks interesting, and I'd actually be curious to see what you guys think of this game. It's called Squareshooters Deluxe, and it's a little different, basically. It's been called amazing and mind-blowing by some National Parenting Center, whatever that is. And basically, they're saying that they're going to be challenging GenCon guests in Indianapolis this year with a contest to actually win free games and cash. GenCon, like I said, runs from about August 4th through the 7th at the Indianapolis Convention Center. And the Heartland Consumer Products is bringing Squareshooters directly to GenCon for the first time, and it's unveiling its new, actually they're calling it That's How I Roll challenge to the game players at GenCon. Guests can play a hand at Squareshooters and try to win a free game set, or they can be filmed while showing off their special rolling style for a chance to win cash. The funnier, sillier, or dramatic the style, the better. Squareshooters Facebook fans will vote then for the winner. Now, I am reading off a press release. I want to make sure that this is all correct for you guys. So the basics behind Squareshooters, well, glad you asked. Let me tell you a little bit about them directly from the press release. So Squareshooters is more than just one great game. It's actually a full deck of cards that have been printed on dice. When you're done playing with the main feature game, you can then use the patented dice to endlessly, quote-unquote, endlessly play a dice version of other card games like Rummy, 21, and even poker. So the game has earned 3 major awards at this point, with only 9 months since its actual introduction to the GP, or general populace. The game's inventor, whose name is, I'm going to completely butcher this, by the way, Carmelian Calvert. Kind of sounds Romulan. Probably. Will be signing copies of Squareshooters at GenCon. And he actually, or she actually says, again, Chameleon, I don't know. I'm thrilled that Squareshooters is finally coming to market, says Calvert. Heartland has done a great job of landing major toy, game, and mass market stores for the 2011 holiday season, but we're so excited to give the game enthusiasts at GenCon a chance to preview Squareshooters before it's widely available to the rest of the world. So, you say, great, I'm going to GenCon. Great, Squareshooters is going to be there. Thank you so much for telling me about that, Chris. Well, you're welcome. But we haven't touched on one major thing. How much is it going to cost? There you go. MSRP of Squareshooters is $12.99 for a basic set and $19.99 for a deluxe set. Here's where it gets a little different. I don't know what the difference is between the deluxe set and the basic set, other than it costs more money. The press release, oddly enough, I don't see anything in here that's actually saying, with the basic set, you get this, and with the deluxe set, you get this. So if you're going to GenCon, take some pictures for me. Tell me what you see. Tell me what you think. And if you happen to find some interesting pictures of this game being played, actually see people shooting the dice that are funny or interesting, especially if they're in any type of costume, send them to Squareshooters@geektechlive.com, and I'll put them in a blog post and give you credit. So tell me who you are. Tell me what you actually saw. Send me the picture at Squareshooters@geektechlive.com, and I'll make sure that you get into a blog post and get full credit. And I'll even tweet about it, too. But that being the case, they actually go into a little bit more detail about this product in particular. So why is it so popular? Why has it actually garnered these 3 major awards? Why are people interested even about this? And why should you be interested about this? Well, the one thing that has been really touted about this game in particular is its versatility. The fact that you can play essentially the game, but then because they're dice with essentially printed cards on them, it's kind of like having a card deck with a dice, basically a gaggle of dice, group of dice, a handful of dice. I'm not sure exactly what the plural of dicey, that plural of dice is dicey, I guess. We'll just go ahead and go with that. So when you get your dicey together, or dice-eye together, it's great because you can just finish playing the main game that is Squareshooters, and now you have essentially a full card deck of basically dice. And it allows you to play any card game, or almost any card game, with dice to lend it sort of a different, versatile way of playing a card game. So even if the game itself, even if Squareshooters itself has some, let's just call it, holes the size that could probably eat a planet of fun, and maybe it's just really not that interesting of a game, the concept of the fact that these dice actually have cards on them is actually quite interesting. I could see the fact that the game itself, from what it looks like, it looks interesting. But if you're a big poker player or rummy player or 21 or, hello, everyone in the Midwest, euchre or sheep's head, yeah, I'm talking to you, euchre and sheep's head, I think you could probably put a really cool spin on card games with these dice. Let's just say this. What if you combine the two? You're playing card game, you decide to bring in the dice. Now you actually can add some maybe special rules. Maybe every third hand you roll to find out what's going to be the wild card, or whatever you want to do. You can actually add that to the thing. And now it's not just you coming up with, well, this is the wild card. Now it's truly a random event. Roll the dice, majority rule, one die, whatever. All of that actually is up to you. It's an interesting concept, and granted, there's nothing saying that you can't just find dice and pretend that they have, a deck of cards on the front of them. But it's an interesting concept nonetheless. So if you're interested a little bit more about this, especially GenCon is coming up, but because this is not August yet, I would recommend you checking out their website. And they actually have a couple of websites. And to make sure that I'm saying this right, it's called squareshooters.com, right there, squareshooters.com. And there is one more, because of the game itself, where there's sort of the promotion of it. That's How I Roll. Yeah, sorry, I can't do that justice. But because of their promotion called That's How I Roll, you can also go to that'showiroldice.com and basically challenge other game players, learn about the actual promotion that's going to be going on at GenCon, and see a little bit more about what I've just kind of talked about. So, to wrap it all up, Squareshooters, new dice game with essentially deck of cards on the dice. Interesting new sort of way, and they're going to be unveiling it at GenCon. They're going to be also giving away free cash prizes for the most craziest, silliest, awkward, nerdiest, awesomest way of rolling the dice. and you'll be able to test it out right at GenCon before even I could buy it. So if you're going to be in Indianapolis and you're going to be at GenCon, and really, why wouldn't you, honestly, be going? Just go. It should be a really fun event. Find their booth and check out the Squareshooters game. And like I said, if you happen to find somebody or even just see somebody doing a really funny dice roll, take a picture, send it to me at squareshooter@geektechlive.com. Right there, squareshooter@geektechlive.com. Send it to me with the attachment or linked to the picture if you have it up on like a Facebook page or something like that. Tell me, obviously, who you are. I will put you the top 5 funniest ones into a blog post. And people, what that means is I need to get more than 5. So if you're hearing this, tell your friends. If you're going to GenCon, take a couple of pictures. I don't care how many it is. Even if I only get 10, I'm going to pick the top 5 that I think are funny, and I'll put them into a blog post, and I'll give you credit as well as tweet it for the whole Twitterverse to check out what you thought was a funny way of rolling the dice. Don't forget, you can find me on Twitter at Geek Tech Live. You can find me at Facebook at facebook.com/Geek Tech Live. I'm also all over Instagram and Empire Avenue, or if you just want to go to the one spot where you can watch me talk about stuff, listen to me talk about stuff, head on over to geektechlive.com. For all of your geeky goodness, this has been Chris for Geek Tech Live. This is episode 125, where we talked about Squareshooters and their unveiling at GenCon in literally a few days, August 4th through the 7th. Talk to you soon, guys.